Hello, everybody. It is time to review Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, this is one of the more controversial Indiana Jones movies since there's a lot more intense scenes that I think help create the PG-13 rating. Because if this movie came out today, it would be PG-13. And for the honor of Indy 5 coming out, let's review this. So, it opens with this singing and dancing number by the singer Willie Scott, I think her name is. And I don't know why, I really like this scene. It's a nice way of opening the movie. And so, as this movie goes on, Indy is meeting with these gangsters who want this thing called this Hachi thing. That's like an artifact, and they're willing to trade it. And yeah, these guys are not to mess with because they end up poisoning Indiana Jones after he meets Willie. And they even laugh it off with the antidote they have. And now it's like a goose chase to grab the diamond and the antidote. And Indy's like trembling. He's trying to, because he can take a beating. But he was not expecting that. And then the men come in with like a machine gun, and then Indy and Willie hold on to each other and they jump out the window with this barrel thing. It's like all over the top stuff. And then they fall out the window and fall into the car, and that's where we are introduced to Short Round. Short Round is definitely the best sidekick character. I know he's probably not going to be in the fifth movie, but he is just like the perfect relationship with Indy. That's what I like about their friendship. They get along very well and other stuff. And then a car chase happens, and then they escape on a plane. And yeah, it's revealed to be the gangster's plane. His name is Lao Sheik. And that's the last time we see that character. And then it's all revealed to be a trap, because as Willie, Short Round, and Indy are trapped on this plane, they wake up to reveal that the pilots actually secretly escaped so they can crash. All three of them. And so Indy realizes this, and they're all freaked out. And then they realize they can't get out. But they open the hatch, and how they're going to get out is they use a inflatable thing, and they all hop on it, and it's all over the top stuff. They jump out of the plane on it, and then the plane explodes. And then I love the line where Short Round's like, "No more parachutes." And Willie slowly learns who Indy is, and she's like saying, "I hate you," because the adventure just keeps going. And then they fall down a waterfall. Like, Indiana Jones can survive a lot of things, apparently. And then the trio then meet up with this sort of monk looking dude. I didn't know who he was, but he spoke another language a lot. And then he tells them this backstory where apparently all the kids and men have been kidnapped by the bad guys in this. And now they basically, the only way to reunite its people is to get these sort of stone looking things and to rescue all the children. They do end up finding one. Yeah, and he looks just not good. Like, he's tortured. Like, you feel so bad for him. And then Indy, Willie, and Short Round decide to travel on elephants, and Willie is just complaining the whole time. She falls off the elephant and complains. Like, a lot of people don't like Willie, but if I gotta be honest, I don't mind her. Like, I feel like she was meant to be the annoying character, the love interest. Like, even though this takes place, I think it does take place before Raiders, but hey, I still viewed it as a sequel when I watched it. And we do get a little more scenes of Indy and Short Round. They're just playing a simple game of cars, and Willie's freaking out over the wilderness. She even sees giant vampire bats that she mistakes for birds. And then later, the trio then go to this palace, and they meet up with the dude there. And this is where the movie gets a little, ugh. They have a little sort of dinner. And what they eat there is not regular food. They end up eating bugs, like the people there of the culture, and then Indy's like completely oblivious to what's going on. And Short Round and Willie are like freaking out when they find eyeballs in their soup. They get like a monkey brain for dessert, and these guys are like chowing. And then later, Indy does find some fresh fruit, and then we do get this sort of funny scene where like Indy and Willie are doing the exact same things. Like they're rolling in each other's bed, they're bored, and they're just yelling at each other. It's like a happy couple. But then it's revealed later that while Indy's hanging out, a guard sneaks up behind him. I was actually shocked when he was able to blend in with the painting in the background, and he just chokes Indy, and then I was like, oh man, how can you get out of that situation? And then Indy grabs his whip and then just hangs the guy. It's dark. But then again, it was self-defense. And then it's revealed this place isn't as good as they thought. And then they find a secret passage through one of the statues in the building. And it's revealed that it's a tunnel, a cave. And they travel through it. And then this cave actually ends up leading Short Round and Indy to get trapped in this thing that can crush them with spikes and blocks. And then it's up to Willie to go save them, but because she's so afraid, she couldn't exactly press the switch so they can set them free. And I just love it where Indy's like, he pulls his hand out and it's like, do it. And then he's saying they're gonna die, and then she finally presses it, gives into her fear, and then yeah, Indy's not happy, and they do find their way out, but then Willie accidentally presses the trap again. Short Round originally did, but then we get the iconic scene where they slide through the gate that's about to fall down, and then Indy's hat falls off, and then he grabs it, and then before it closes, like I always like that scene. And then this is where the movie gets a little more over the top than the bug eating scene. And so we get this scene, and it's revealed that this palace is, and where all the children and men are, they're actually in this cult. And their cult leader, I never learned his name. He always looked over the top. Like he has like a bunch of tattoos, robes. And what he does for his rituals, he literally rips people's hearts out. And they say this is a family movie. And then they throw the guy in a cage, and then they put him in fire. I don't know how he's still breathing. They're getting his heart torn out. And yeah. And then later, Indy tries to find these stone things. He does find it near what basically is this giant skull thing. And this skull thing is in the Lego Indiana Jones 2 game, where instead you have to fight it as like a boss fight. And then Indy does take the statue things, but it's revealed to be a trap as the guards find Willie and Short Round. That actually scared me when I saw it originally. Like, it was a jump scare. There's a lot of jump scares. And then Indy is then captured when he sees that they're actually using kids as slaves. Like, it's very dark stuff. Like, Steven Spielberg explored deep stuff in this movie for sure. And then Indy tries to stop the kid from getting beaten by one of the guards, and instead Indy is captured, and there's these scenes that are just like, ooh. Indy ends up and Short Round get tortured. And then Indy drinks the blood so he can become one of the cultists. And then they're gonna use Willie as a sacrifice, and she is just dreading this. She's hoping this is all a dream. She's like, wake up, Willie, wake up. But then Short Round makes it out of his little chains after getting forced to do the labor. He instead he saves Indy by after he's in the control, he uses, their weakness is fire. So to get out of the control, you use fire. He says, Indy, I love you. And Indy's finally back to normal for a bit. And then, wait, I don't know why I said that. Then Indy, takes down the guards a short round. And they end up saving Willie. And my favorite scene in the whole movie is when in short round, Indy puts the hat back on short round. And short round gives Indy his hat, and then they hug. And he's saying, that's sorry this all happened. So that scene is so heartwarming. And then I think what they do is they free all the slaves, and then all the kids are free, thank goodness. And then Indy has this one scene again where he fights a tough dude and nearly dies, because earlier in the movie there's this one kid who's also in the control of the cultist, and then he uses a voodoo doll on Indy, and he's using that against Indy. It even has a hat. And then Short Round ends up taking down the kid, and then before Indy almost gets crushed by this cylinder thing, and Indy just gets back up, and then he just keeps punching the guy, and Willie's even rooting for him. And then how the guy dies, he slips and then falls into the machine because his scarf got attached to the machine, and then he dies a brutal death. Yeah. And then the trio try to escape by using a minecart. We get this cool scene with the minecarts. And then there's a giant flood coming because the water supply is getting out of control in the place. And then, I think the final showdown in this movie happens when the trio get to a bridge, and then the cultist meets up with them. And Indy decides to sacrifice the stones. And he almost drops it in a water full of alligators. Instead, he has a sword and then cuts the line, and then they're all freaking out because they're about to fall. And then all the guards fall except for the cult guy, and then he tries to rip Indy's heart out, but instead Indy pushes him, and then the guy falls to his death, and then the Wilhelm scream happens and he dies. And then it's revealed Indy's okay, and then the Short Round and Willie are happy. And then, everyone's happy. They finally return the stones, and then the kids are finally with their parents. It's very good stuff. And then it ends with Willie and Indy kissing. They argue at first. Willie's just like, this is the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to me. And then the movie ends with Short Round just squirting up with water from an elephant. And then that's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. A very good movie. It's over the top, like I said. Some of those scenes are kind of cringy to watch. Like, you're just like, oh man. Like, it's uncomfortable is what I mean. But this had a lot of great memories with this movie, and I definitely look forward to talking about The Last Crusade. That's where we can get back to with the characters like Marcus Brody, Sahala, and Indy looking for artifacts and punching the bad guys. And we do see Indy's father. So, how would I rate this movie? I give it an 8. Like I said, and I also have good memories of the Lego games, of course. So, I can't wait to talk about Last Crusade. With that being said, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.